If it's somebody else, you're able to respond quick to them. And with me, for instance, the beach house from last council meeting, I asked you what the costs were for, and you told me we'll have to look into it. You looked around, everybody told me they were going to look into it. I haven't received a reply. The reason why I have found out is because I didn't submit my questions in writing. So what is the purpose of people coming, sitting through your council meetings to ask questions if they still have to go through it?
For asking clarification.
Right. But if we're not.
For asking questions. It's for asking clarification of decisions of the business.
I asked for clarification.
We will look into whether we change our procedures and allow questions, or what the procedure is for questions. And I believe they should be sent in writing to the CAO. Questions? We'll have it under review. Okay, Councillor Russell?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment. I understand exactly where he's coming from, because since I've been here, it's changed from clarification to a lot of questions, when in fact it's always said for clarification, and sometimes it ends up in that gray area, I think, as you described. So I think we need to clarify it as well, because we do allow these questions, but then we don't give answers. The fact is, we do have a process for those different things. This isn't the place for that process. This is my opinion.
Okay. Anyone else?
Can I just have a quick comment?
Deputy Mayor?
Just to follow up on what Councillor Russell has said, I think the process of clarification typically does involve questions. And it's not always possible to answer all those questions in this context, because all the information isn't here. So there will be times when questions are asked that we do say, we'll have to get back to you on that. And we have to commit to getting back, even though it's not in writing. So I think that's a very reasonable request, actually.
Thank you.
Oh, come on.
I just have one quick one, just to clarify, so that from the first question there. So just to be clear here, Mr. Mayor, what will you do to support your council's new direction for the SPN?
I don't believe it is a new direction, but we'll support the council decision to proceed with the direction that council has given.
Sometime between now and Friday. Is that correct?
At the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Could I just a clarification further this one. Through you to the clerk, we're going to have a procedural bylaw discussion. I think this seems to be the frustration with things, is the time response. So maybe we can add that in, when clarifications asked, questions asked, we have a time by the next meeting, you have a response in writing or something, and maybe that'll be the direction, whatever.
There has to be a question that can be answered in 10 minutes is different than a question that's going to take a half a day's of research of staff.
Yep.
And follow-up and all of those other issues. So we have to define that.
Yep.
And set in place a process on how we deal with that. How much staff time is set aside for questions from the public. Mr. Sharon.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, since my letter kicked off a firestorm, I'd like clarification. And I'll start off with a couple of things. First of all, you're all fiduciaries. And as such, you have a high standard of operation that you have to adhere to. I am going to give you a definition of defamation. If someone says I'm a crook, they're defaming me. If I was convicted of stealing some money and they called me a crook, that happens to be a fact. The first is defamation, the second is not. Can you tell me where there was any defamation in the letter that I sent requesting answers?
I have not seen the letter, so I can't tell you that.
You should have seen it before you allowed it to be thrown out. Really. And I was told...
If the clerk would like to respond to that, I never seen it.
No, the mayor didn't see it. I had a letter that I had a concern with, and I sent it to our solicitor and took his advice and wrote a report to council as to how it should be dealt with.
What's defamation? No, seriously.
Do you have clarification on how council dealt with this?
No,
That's good. Then
I want a clarification. I want a clarification on how you ruled it was defamatory, because it was not defamatory. It was all based on truth and you want to take me to court and charge me with defamation, do so. And we will defend it in court because
This is,
truth.
you're out of order.
I'm not out of order. True, you've accused me.
You're out of order.
I'm not out of order.
Thank
You're
you.
out of order.
Thank you.
Point of
No,
order, Mr.
thank you.
It's pure
Council has
censorship.
passed the recommendation. That's what the item for clarification is on items that we have passed.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that.
We have 2 sets of minutes. Do you want to pass them tonight in camera, or do you want to go to another,
They can come next week.
refer them to another meeting?
No, we've got a point of order, we have an adjournment on the table. We have an adjournment on the table with a seconder.
Pass them?
Let's adjourn.
Okay. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and we're going to come back in the closed session for 2 sets of minutes.
Yeah, I removed my, I'll withdraw. 5 minutes, go out for a quick coffee.
We're adjourning because